All right. So I don't really know what's happening. Maybe by the time I edit this, there is new intro music. Maybe there's not. I'm Andy Singleton. People's Pen on Twitter. We're bringing in a good friend of the Lord and I this week. Maybe a permanent audition. May not be. I really thought it, when we said we were going to bring Ralph in that we were just going to abuse him for 20 minutes at our mercy. But we, as I mentioned, we are pleased to be joined by a good friend. Before I introduce you, let you introduce yourself rather to the world, or at least this audience and all 10 people in it. We were just mentioning Dave Chappelle is back, as is the Lord. He did kind of go on a Chappelle-like hiatus, but he's back. So do you have anything you'd like to share with people? Are you back for good?
I am back for good. I had to take a little sabbatical, just like Chappelle. I'm back wearing sleeveless shirts. Can somebody explain to me how he got all big and he's walking around wearing tank tops all the time? That shit is really, really weirds me out. I already did that because I'm a G, but Dave Chappelle was like a bony little thing coming, a little otter gutter rat coming out. He's just swolled out. I'm confused as to what happened. He went to South Africa. I can't disclose where I went because I could be arrested.
He is back. As you mentioned, we have Ralph on. So Ralph, please tell everybody who you are.
What's up, everybody?
Why we are so happy to have you.
Oh, you're so happy to have me because I'm just a consummate pain in your asses. And I assumed this was going to be an ambush this week because my Patriots just got demolished at home by the Seahawks, and their defense was totally exposed. And I'm sure we'll probably get into that a little bit later on. But Ralph Lifshitz from Rasball, I'm a comrade, so to speak, of Mr. Beddick here. And I'm actually just writing on the baseball side this year, but I've been kicking everybody's tails, including these two guys in the Rasball Dream League. I'm 10-1 now, probably going to be an 11-1 after I toss Tehol next week. He's going to have a little bit more injury on insult and his sickness and everything else, but it's a foregone conclusion. Doesn't matter if Gronk plays or not. The GOAT tight end. That's why they have me on Hot Takes. I'm like Skip Bayless with a Boston accent.
Well, I just gave you your 10th victory. It did just take me down this week. And, so you had a tumultuous week. You had a win against me. You had a loss in the election, but you had a win for your state. Did you not? Did you not have a win for your state?
Me?
Yeah. They decided to limit the size of animal cages in question 3, and I guess we're gonna have healthier food now or something. I don't know. That's what you're talking about, right?
No, I was talking about recreational things. However,
I know nothing about that.
Let's move on to fantasy football because I think that's why people hopefully are tuning in. Maybe not. As you mentioned, Tehol, just today, one of your guys was cut.
I'm really confused. I don't really understand it. I mean, I'm a C-Mike fan. He's been came back around, but he must be screwing up in practice. He's gone back to his old ways. He's just like not getting the job done. Prosise is, as we saw with that dismantling of the pathetic Patriots defense in their home field, who can't even cheer like when they take the lead. I mean, what a pathetic crowd. What a pathetic community. What a pathetic group of people in general. And did they legalize marijuana there? I highly doubt it because they're definitely not cool enough to do that over there. I'm really bummed out because if Rawls, who hasn't looked right all year, and now he's coming back, like what if he gets hurt again? He already was missed the whole off season, came back, got hurt again. Or what if Prosise, who's been injury prone his entire life, it seems like, goes down again? We did call up the guy we just stole back from the Jets, or the idiots that cut him. My boy,
Troy Maine.
Who?
Troy Maine Pope.
Yeah, Pope, that's right. Bring back the Pope, the young Pope. Just like the new TV show coming out with Jude Law that looks off the chain, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I like Pope a great deal. Why the Jets didn't keep him around, who knows what they got going on over there. But Michael has no heart. He's gone. We have Andy's favorite bum-ass Alex Collins is now the third or fourth stringer. He's shown absolutely nothing. But I suppose Andy maybe gets the last laugh just because Collins is still on the team and Michael's not.
Number one, the Patriots home crowds are awful. and the stadium is set up in a funky way with this opening at the end, so the crowds get really, really quiet. Foxborough Stadium wasn't like that, but the way the stadium was built, and it's all the corporate wine and cheese people that actually pay to go to those games because the tickets are ridiculously expensive. And I'd rather just stay home on my couch and watch the game and be an idiot. But regardless, Patriots defense looked awful, and Christine Michael didn't do anything. Obviously got cut. This guy is one of these guys that I feel like every fantasy expert out there has loved this guy for a million years, and he's always been built up, and you just hear about him year after year after year, and he just never delivers. This is the first year you thought he was going to. Obviously he had a great week 3 against San Francisco. Decent week 4 and 5, just in terms of, he found the end zone 3 times in those 2 weeks. Since then, I don't think he's had more than 10 carries, more than 40 or 50 yards. Just really hasn't done a whole lot. Prosise looked legit, especially as a passing back. I really believe in Prosise. And I think it was more than just Jamie Collins not being in the Patriots defense any longer and them not being able to sort of cover backs out of the backfield the way they did, which is one of their strengths of their defenses, because that's one of the things Collins did well. And I just think he was expendable. Rawls is coming back, and he's third on the depth chart. And if he has a piss-poor attitude, there's no reason to keep him around. So I'm not shocked that he's gone. He seems like he's just one of these guys going to bounce around forever.
The thing that jumps out at me, before I get to that, though, real quick, you had said a bunch of analysts just love Christine Michael and just kept wanting to push his stock up. I know several, including one in particular, that were just pitching CJ Prosise everywhere they could. So he's been kind of slow to develop, but he really has that full, complete back upside. And there were a lot of comparisons to him in the beginning of the season to this year's David Johnson light, if you will, that kind of upside. So now we might be starting to see that. Who knows? But the stat that jumps out at me, as you were mentioning, is receiving. He's now caught 15 of his 16 targets on the year. So he basically catches everything thrown his way. And there's a few things to be said to that, for at least for my money, in that not only does he catch everything, but he's getting himself open and presenting a target that he's not being overthrown or underthrown or whatever the case is. But Alshon Jeffery just got completely derailed of his, I don't even know how I want to phrase this, but were you guys taken back by this? I had seen some things that said it had something to do with he was publicly known to be trying to get pregnant with his wife or something, and maybe that's what one of these drugs was. Then I've seen something that he was recommended to take this anti-inflammatory. So there's a lot of speculation and a lot of different things I've heard, but none of it is good for Jeffrey. So Ralph, what was your were you completely taken back by this news as well? And what do you think this holds for the value of other Bears going forward?
Yeah, I think almost all Bears players, for the most part, are pretty much not ownable. I mean, I know I, for one, bought into a lot of the Jay Cutler hype going into last week, and I started him at DFS, and I wanted to kick myself after I wasted a ton of money on Cutler. And, I actually would say that Jeffrey was the only weapon that was there, and even he's kind of feast or famine just based upon who's throwing him the ball and the way that offense is running anyway. Now that you factor this in, hopefully it's something that, they can get cleared. If it's one of those sort of issues that it was, like fertility or whatever, I can't imagine that they're not going to try to clear that. It's not going to be a 4-game suspension, but who knows? We'll see how it shakes out. If he misses 4 games, he's almost useless because he doesn't come back until week 15, and he gets a couple of tough matchups. First of all, against Green Bay. So I'm sort of interested to see how Jeffrey shakes out. I will admit I don't own any shares of him. I was a little weary of the Bears' offense in general this year.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I was probably one of the biggest guys trumping Cutler up last week. And the matchup looked great on paper. He looked awful. In reality, it was – and if you take Jeffrey away from that team, I know Howard had 100 yards last week, but is there anything to really feel comfortable, positive about with the Bears going forward? Go for it.
Howard, I like Howard. Howard looks legit. But, yeah, Cutler in that last game, I mean, to me, that kind of just ended anything, any respect, the kindling of respect I had left for this chump, dude. I mean, his lack of pocket awareness. when he coughed it up on the Tampa Bay 20-yard line or so when the game was still somewhat in reach was absolutely embarrassing. Jeffery was actually having a good game early. Never touched the ball. I don't think he had a catch in the second half when you're playing Tampa's defense, one of the worst defenses literally that I think I've ever seen. We saw them last week. Atlanta just did whatever. They bent him over, did whatever they wanted to do to him. It was absolutely disgusting. I think I took the same fertility drug when I impregnate my friend's wife that Alshon Jeffery is taking now. I don't understand what's happening with the guy. It's just, it's pathetic because to me, he's still a great talent. And if I was a team with a ton of cap room, Patriots, a la Randy Moss, should they just go get him? I mean, I feel it. He might be a little cheaper than usual. But if I had the money like a Cleveland or San Francisco or one of those bum-ass teams is a team that I'd probably overpay to get a guy like Jeffrey. But as far as this year, yeah, that's disappointing because I own him everywhere and I feel like an idiot. I own him and Watkins in multiple leagues. It's pathetic. And this is just the cherry on the top of the shit ice cream sandwich, bro.
Obviously, Jeffrey in himself is a big deal, but I was mentioning him more to the point that people are going to tell you to pick up Eddie Royal. Marcus Wilson is coming back. Well, I love Cameron Meredith, but what did he do? He caught one Hail Mary, and I don't think he got targeted outside of that. So obviously there was a connection that he had with Hoyer. Now that Hoyer's gone, Cutler just isn't looking his way at all. You also got Bellamy in that offense. So it's just all around. I think Ralph hit it on the head.
They just did activate the legend from Wazoo, Marquise
Wilson. Did you? I just mentioned. Did you say activated?
Such a legend, you can't remember his name.
Or deactivated?
I thought I saw that was he deactivated or activated?
I think he was activated.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, exactly.
He played here in this state. He's a steal.
That's what I said. That's how this segment started. With Mark coming back.
Oh, I missed that part. I was studying my notes.
You know who is making his debut this week? It was just announced. Jared Goff. Your area, Cali guy, West Coaster. I think he's probably surfed down your hairline or your that slope. Maybe Ralph skied down it. You got any things on Goff? You think this is he going to continue in the trend of what we've seen with Prescott and Wentz, with these rookies being more ready than we'd like to believe?
Well, I would think not, because otherwise he would have been in there, I'm assuming, but I'm leaning like he's going to be a little bit better than people are projecting him. How could he not be better than Keenum's been? I mean, these guys are the first team since the 97 Buffalo Bills to win 2 games scoring under 10 points already, and the season's barely halfway over. This is incredible. They deserve better. How could he not be better than Keenum? I look for him to bring a little spark this week and beat the Miami Dolphins, who are on a winning streak. I'm just going to call that right now.
Ralph, what do you think? You think he's finally ready? Are you excited? This Goff news?
Not really, unless I'm in like a 2-quarterback league that's like 14 teams deep, and you got a guy like Matt Ryan in a bye or somebody, and you want to plug him in. I'm in a league like that, and I thought about plugging him in, but I think I would rather play like a running back or a receiver in that flex spot that I could play quarterbacks in. I don't know. That's going to be really dangerous. I hope he doesn't get his head taken off. But I've heard all types of things that he can't take snaps under center. That he can't, really read. I've heard some nasty stuff. Obviously, he was the first overall pick for a reason. I don't know. I mean, this offense has been historically bad. They've been one of the worst offenses, I think, since this past Happy League has really started.
I've been a Goff fan for a while. I was on board with him being the number 1 overall pick. If you watched Hard Knocks at all, though, he seems to have like this kind of Gronkness to him, a little goofy.
Run, idiot.
It's weird because it's kind of like when you want to think that, they do something that is pretty, intuitive as at least as a football player that you say, okay, they're really maybe not as as I don't want to say it, but as dumb as you might feel. But with Goff, I
Russ
mean,
not a total idiot. He did sign an endorsement deal with my idol 50 cents headphone company last year. I'm very interested in how that plays out. So that was smart. So it showed some intelligence there.
well, I'm saying this because like Ralph was alluding to, at Cal he wasn't in charge of calling plays, was constantly out of shotgun. I mean, these were the documented reasons why he was so delayed in his progress. Was they were basically teaching him how to be a pro quarterback. Going back to that hard knock stuff, he's the number one overall pick. He goes to buy fans for just the offense on the Rams because they were staying in the dorms or whatever, and they had no ACs and no fans, and all the players were hot. So he goes out and tries to make an impression on the team and buys just the offense fans. The team then goes out and buys the entire team portable air conditioners. That just to me shows like kind of like you had the right idea, but you didn't execute it properly.
You're digging deep.
I'm digging. I think I think that showed a little lack of preparedness, and maybe that translates onto the field as well.
And he bought them fans, and the players are sneak dissing him to Chris Carter, telling him he's a bum after he bought them all fans. That's just, I mean, he must be garbage. I don't know why I predicted that he's going to have a decent game and win. I think it's just like there's so much hate that he's just going to somehow rise above it and just have one of those out of body, out of mind experiences like I have a few times a week when I dominate fantasy pros. It's just going to be like that, and he's just going to beat the Dolphins. It's going to happen, and people are going to have to respect him a little.
Dak Prescott definitely bought the entire team air conditioners. He is smart enough to do that, obviously. Tony Romo came out today, and it was kind of weird. Was this his concession speech?
I didn't see it. I mean, I heard that it had happened. I just sort of assumed it was his way of trying to be classy about the whole situation, sort of step aside. He's got to be gone next year. He seems like the perfect guy that the Jets would trade like first round picks for or something. That's my little shot at Andy as a Jets fan. But it totally would happen. Yeah, it totally could happen. It could totally happen. But yeah, it's got to be Dak. He's got to be the guy. I will say, fantasy-wise, Dak has a string of some tough matchups coming up, man. Baltimore, Washington, at Minnesota, at the Giants. Those are not necessarily pass-friendly matchups for him. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. He may have a couple of bad games, but I would imagine this is Dak's team as long as they keep rolling.
He's also scored 2 or more touchdowns in 7 straight now. And if you go back to the archives, who did I compare him to in the preseason, Tehol? Do you remember?
Dak? Russell Wilson?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that because he's black or?
No, just it's just the style. Just strong arm, keeps plays alive.
Because I remember we had another analyst on, and he compared him to Donovan McNabb, and I'm like, why is it got to be a black dude, bruh?
Well, you can take that one. What's your thought on that?
He's like Steve Young.
Or this is actually more of a Tony Romo.
Every white guy says that doesn't want to be. Why does it have to be a black guy? And then they go Steve Young. Steve Young plays like a black guy, I guess.
Steve Grogan.
Not only should he win Rookie of the Year over Ezekiel Elliott, he should be getting MVP votes over Ezekiel Elliott, obviously. But yes, Romo. I was just talking to my friend on the way here on the phone about Romo, what teams he could go to. The first team I said was the Jets. Not just because it's a bad thing per se. I mean, it's one of the few teams I think could turn it around relatively quick. They were good last year, good receivers. It's a pretty good fit. Hopefully they don't have to give up a 1 to make it happen, but knowing them, they probably will. Although I can't even forget who's running the show. They've had so many losers. They're Tenenbaum, the bum they took from Seattle who they let stay for like a year or 2. I don't know what's going on there now. Bowles is losing his grip. Everything's falling to pieces.
They got McCagnon. We've now gone the Fitz route. We've gone the Favre route. They're not all built like Vinny Testaverde. So I don't know if I want to go the Romo route. And I don't think this team is as close as people think. All right, maybe you get Decker back. Marshall still, maybe he can be refocused and want to play football again, or at least seem to want to play football again. But Forte is going to be a year older. There's no real heir apparent there. The line is not. It's been
Yeah, they should
adequate.
sign those two bum-ass Seahawks offensive linemen to big money contracts back-to-back seasons. Yeah, I think Gilliam's coming up this year. If you need another tackle out there, nice signing. About eight per sounds about right.
All right, let's move along. Let's move along. There's a couple extras. RG3 might be back sooner than later. I'm kind of bummed about that. I was kind of hoping Cody Kessler got the reins to see what he could do, even though I didn't think he was a pro-worthy quarterback. He's actually shown to be somewhat decent, and they're not going anywhere. The Browns are not going anywhere. Sorry, Jared Miller. The Browns are not doing anything. Period.
Who?
You know. What else? Matt Jones. Matt Jones. What's going on here? Is this the next Kristen Michael? Is Matt Jones going to be cut soon? What's happening here?
I don't know. I know that I cut bait with him like a week or two back, and he's a guy that I loved in the preseason. He's one of the few guys I drafted on multiple teams and I didn't hit on. But I tried to move on probably around week 6 or 7. Yeah, I don't know about Matt Jones. Even like Thompson's look better in like a receiving role. He's one of these guys with all the tools, and just can't put it together. So he might be another Christine Michael. I wouldn't be shocked. He's certainly out of the picture for the time being, though.
You still like him?
I loved him. I drafted him. I don't even want to think of the guys I drafted him over instead of. I don't even want to think about it. It's disgusting. He's got the talent, but he's getting surpassed by this undrafted bum who looks much better, much more trustworthy, a little solid there. And then the other guy they got in the preseason who had all the hype, he looked better than him at a certain time too. So he is coming back from some injury. I thought maybe they're just taking it easy with him, but maybe you're onto something. Maybe they are about to chop suey his punk ass because he is let down not only his team and his state, but all of America and all of us that drafted him.
All right, let's try to wrap things up a little with a couple dynasty. I'm gonna give you one deep one. Jarrell Adams. Got to see him. He was kind of a late riser. I'm gonna tell you why. Stop scrunching your face up. I'm gonna make a point here. Was a late bloomer, late riser. Giants took a flyer on him, and they don't really have a secure situation. But this is a team that has been known to feature tight ends well. He's got 6 receptions on 7 targets in the last 2 weeks, 42 yards and a touchdown. Starting to get a couple more looks. Larry Donnell is not really doing anything. Will Tye did not really continue on his success of last year, at least to this point. There is some room for Adams' role to continue growing. Nobody's mentioning him at all. Somebody might want to look towards obtaining, if you can, on the cheap end. You might have a serviceable mid-range tight end going forward in Jarrell Adams. But I'm going to let Ralph talk about Tyreek Hill, and he's very intriguing to me because at least for redraft leagues, he's been lingering on the waiver wire basically the entire season. You saw him doing some Anton Smith, who went crazy for the Falcons a year or two ago when it was like every week he had like a 40 or 50-yard touchdown rush or reception. That's basically what Tyreek Hill was doing. He'd have like one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown. And you're looking at this guy going, should I add him? Should I not? Am I going to start him? Probably not. Well, he just blew the lid off of everything. He had 13 targets for 10 receptions, 89 yards this past week. Probably too late to get him in redraft. Definitely too late to get him in dynasty leagues. Is this something you're looking to trade for, though, Ralph?
Yeah, and I was actually shocked.
Sorry, real quick. That's about as big as Tyreek Hill is, by the way. So, go for it.
Not a big guy, but he looked like unbelievable last week. I don't know if you've watched some of that. I know he didn't put up a ton of yards, but he looks quick. He's fast. He made some great catches, some almost like circus freak catches type stuff. Brandon Lloyd type stuff he has going on there or something. But he looked awesome. Like you said, he got 13 targets. He probably looked as good, if not better, than Maclin's looked all season. Obviously, he was inactive, but even when he is back and active, I wouldn't be shocked if Hill doesn't start seeing more targets. I was really shocked. I went and I looked it up on Yahoo. His ownership's still only 17%. So in dynasty leagues, yeah, he might be owned, but 17% ownership. I mean, he's still below 20% on Yahoo. So he's definitely somebody I would look to add at the bottom of my bench, especially if you maybe have somebody on bye, drop worthy. Somebody like Christine Michael, you're looking to add somebody. Hill's somebody I put a waiver claim in for sure.
Yeah, and I think, and this might be the most and only fantasy relevant point we make all night, definitely add Hill over any Bear wide receiver that you may have been thinking of adding. We're all nodding in agreement on that, I'm assuming.
I made that same decision because like last night because in that same league I was mentioning where I'm just desperate. Now I've lost Jeffrey. I've already lost Watkins. I've lost Gordon. I'm like somehow hanging on to like staying alive as Latavius Murray somehow got me 30 points in a game I wasn't even paying attention to 2 weeks ago to sneak me out a 1-point victory in a high-scoring battle. This last week I got lucky again with CJ Prosise, which is probably my ranking of him is probably why I finished top 5 overall in Fantasy Pros again for the second time in only a few weeks. And but yeah, I was going to pick up Meredith because I'm like, oh, he'll get a ton of targets. But then I see Hill sitting there. I'm like, oh, that Tampa defense. Oh, he's going to kill it. And he's making short yardage, and Tampa's tackling is disgraceful. Chris Conte, who I was just bagging on heavy for my whole life, really took a pick 6 the other day. And that's not going to happen. If Hill catches Conte in the open field, he's going to put him on ice skates, break his ankles, Nancy Kerrigan style out there. It's going to get nasty, and I can't wait to see it. And I hope my claim for him goes through because I need him this week, and I need him to go big.
Was that a positive endorsement on Nancy Kerrigan or taking shots at her? Because, Ralph, like,
she's a silver medalist
in Mass.
Yeah, she's a Massachusetts girl, man. Don't take shots at Nancy.
Well, that
will kill you.
That was supposed to be Chris Conley's role. That was supposed to be Albert Wilson's role. And Tyreek Hill has leapfrogged both of them at this point and is only getting stronger. So if you see him out there, take him.
Well, they keep drafting guys like that, and it's not working. I mean, the McCluster was whatever. Then they drafted the Oregon dude. That hasn't worked out at all. So it's like they keep going back to the bin here, and at least looks like it worked out this time because this dude's got some talent. I like it.
What place were you in this week on Fantasy Pros?
4th.
Top 5 again?
Yeah, last time it was 2nd, and then the week in between I probably was like not paying attention or something. I don't know what happened then. I don't really know.
Yeah, no. I have I have like fluorescent lights in here, and I have a couple bulbs that I need to switch out because they're old.
So when you're geeking out?
Is that the grow room?
That's the grow room. Yeah, it's the grow room.
Wow. Tehol finished top 4. His president won. Chloe's single again. And
she is.
He's back. So this has been a good week for the Lord.
If only I was black and 6'8", I'd have a good chance of piping her down next.
So hopefully you enjoyed this new mellow format. If not, leave your negative comments. We're all used to them. Other than that, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. Ralph, tell everybody once again how they can find you. The proper spelling of Lifshitz.
The proper spelling of Lifshitz. So on Twitter, you can find me at Ralph Lifshitz, LIFSHITZBB. I write on minor league baseball prospects, dynasty baseball. I'm going through all 30 teams' minor league systems right now. Cubs drops tomorrow. I publish on Wednesday, and then on Sunday, Saturday, I have a prospect podcast on Razzball that goes up on Saturday. So I pretty much own Razzball on the weekends.
And people are probably wondering why are you on a football show then? But he actually knows his stuff.
True.
Football as well. He just doesn't take the time to write about it. But if you ask him, he'll give you some good stuff. You know him. That's Lord Baddock on Twitter. I'm People's Pen on Twitter. I don't know what else to say. You got anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
I could go on. I could really honestly go on and on and on, but
I don't doubt that.
I'm not going to.
All right. Well, we shall see you next week. Hopefully.